My girlfriend told me her promotion party had a strict no plus ones rule. She said it was company policy. No exceptions. No partners allowed. So I stayed home while she went out dressed better than I'd ever seen her for work. 3 hours later, someone I didn't know tagged me in a photo from that party. I hadn't even opened it yet, and somehow I already knew everything I believed about my relationship was about to change. A few days earlier, Sarah had gotten the promotion she'd been working toward for nearly 2 years. Senior director at her tech company. It wasn't just a title. It was the kind of jump that changes how people look at you, how much you earn, how fast your life moves. She came out of her home office holding her phone, eyes wide, voice shaking. "I got it," she said. "They promoted me." At first I thought she was joking. Then she said the full title, and it hit me. I hugged her so hard she laughed and told me to relax. Her parents called almost immediately. Then her sister. Then coworkers. The rest of the day turned into a stream of congratulations. I was genuinely proud of her. I'd watched the late nights, the stress, the weekends lost to work. She earned it. That night, we sat on the couch eating takeout while she talked about salary numbers, leadership meetings, and how different things were going to be now. I mostly listened. I liked seeing her like that, confident, excited, finally seeing the payoff. That's when she mentioned the celebration party. "Friday night," she said. "Downtown. They booked a nice place." I asked what time we should leave. She paused. "Oh, it's employees only," she said. "Strict policy. No plus ones." I felt a quick sting of disappointment, but I didn't argue. Corporate rules can be weird. And it was her night, her achievement. She added that it would probably be boring anyway. Mostly speeches, awkward networking, executives pretending to care. I wouldn't enjoy it. I believed her. Friday came fast. I went over to her place after work, planning to hang out before she left. That's when I noticed how much effort she was putting into getting ready. There were 3 outfits laid out on the bed. I'd never seen her do that for a work event. She kept changing, checking herself in the mirror, adjusting things, then trying again. The dress she finally chose was new. Professional, but fitted in a way that made her look incredible. "You look amazing," I said. She smiled, but it wasn't relaxed. It was focused. "First impressions matter now," she said. "Senior leadership. Executives will be there." That made sense to me. She spent extra time on her makeup, too. Nothing dramatic, just careful. Like she didn't want a single thing to be off. She checked the time, grabbed her purse, and headed for the door. "They want us there by 6, she said. "Home by 10. I asked. "Yeah," she replied. "Shouldn't be late." I kissed her goodbye, told her how proud I was, and watched her leave. Then I went back inside, ordered pizza, and turned on a game. I remember sitting there feeling good about my life. About us. Thinking this promotion was the start of something solid. Moving in together, planning the future, finally getting past the constant stress. Around 9, during halftime, my phone buzzed. Instagram notification. It said I'd been tagged in a photo. The name wasn't familiar. And the photo was from the party Sarah told me I couldn't attend. For a few seconds, I didn't tap the notification. I just stared at my phone like it had done something wrong. The name didn't register, Jennifer Chun. I didn't know anyone by that name. My first thought was that it had to be a mistake. Maybe someone tagged the wrong account. It happens all the time. But the photo preview was unmistakable. Same venue Sarah had described earlier that week. Same lighting. Same event branding on the wall behind the crowd. There was no question where it was taken. I opened it. The photo had been posted 20 minutes earlier. It was a wide shot of the room, people gathered in small groups, drinks in hand, smiling at the camera. It looked exactly like what you'd expect from a corporate celebration, except for one thing. Everywhere I looked, there were couples. Not coworkers standing next to each other. Not random groups. Couples. Arms around waists. Hands resting on hips. Leaning close in that way people do when they're together. My chest tightened. I zoomed in slowly, almost hoping my eyes were playing tricks on me. They weren't. There had to be at least 6 or 7 couples visible in the frame. Some dressed formally, some more casual, all clearly there together. Plus ones. Partners. The exact thing Sarah had told me wasn't allowed. The caption read, "Great night celebrating promotions. At Sarah, Morrison killed it party popper." And underneath that, the tag. At my username, "Your girl is amazing." I sat there, phone in my hand, pizza going cold on the coffee table, completely frozen. I didn't feel angry yet. I felt confused. Like I was missing a piece of information everyone else had. I kept telling myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe these were co-workers married to each other. Maybe there was some weird technicality I didn't understand. But the more I looked, the less sense that made. I tapped on the hashtag Jennifer had used and scrolled. More photos. Same venue. Same party. Different angles. Every single one showed employees with their partners. Some people were even posing directly for the camera, arms wrapped around someone who clearly wasn't a coworker, smiling like they belonged there, like it was normal, like it was expected. I scrolled faster. That's when I saw Sarah again. She wasn't the focus of the photo, but she was there in the background, standing with a man in a dark suit. At first, I didn't recognize him. Then I noticed how close they were standing. Too close. His hand was resting on her lower back. Not a friendly pat. Not a casual gesture. It was familiar. Comfortable. The kind of touch that assumes permission. I felt my stomach drop. I took screenshots. Every photo. Every angle. I didn't even know why I was doing it at the time. Instinct, maybe. Some part of me already knew I'd need proof, even if I didn't yet know for what. I checked the time. 9:18 p.m. She had told me she'd be home by 10. I sat there for a long time after that, just staring at my phone, going back and forth between the photos and the empty living room around me, trying to line up what I was seeing with what she'd told me. Employees only. No plus ones. Strict policy. None of it fit. I didn't message her. I didn't call. I wanted to hear her explain it to my face. I wanted to see if she could lie again. I didn't even fully understand why that mattered to me, but it did. Around 10:30, I heard her keys at the door. She walked in smiling, a little flushed, clearly tipsy, but in a good mood. She kicked off her heels and started talking immediately. "God, I'm exhausted," she said. "Those things are so awkward." I asked how it went. She laughed and said it was boring. Long speeches. Forced conversations. Too much small talk. Exactly what she'd predicted. I watched her carefully while she talked. Her tone was relaxed. Casual. Comfortable. "So no one brought their partners?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. She didn't hesitate. "Nope," she said. "Strict policy. Would have been nice to have you there, though." That was the moment something shifted inside me. Not because of the lie itself, but because of how easily it came out. No pause. No nervous laugh. No hesitation. Just confidence. She sat next to me and started scrolling through her phone, smiling at something on the screen. I recognized that smile immediately. I'd seen it 100 times before. I told her I was tired and went to bed. She stayed up on the couch, still on her phone. I lay there in the dark, listening to the faint tapping of her screen, watching the light flicker across the ceiling. She was texting someone, and she was smiling while she did it. I didn't sleep at all that night. I lay there replaying the photos in my head. The couples. The hand on her back. The way she'd looked at me and lied without blinking. I kept thinking the same thing over and over. If she lied so easily about something this small, what else had she already lied about? I had no idea that by the next morning, I'd learned the truth wasn't just emotional. It was criminal. Morning came without sleep. I didn't wake up so much as I gave up on trying to rest. The room was still dim, the air heavy in that way it gets when you've been awake all night thinking. Sarah was still asleep beside me, turned away, breathing evenly like nothing in the world was wrong. I lay there watching the ceiling, replaying everything from the night before. The photos, the lie, the way she smiled at her phone while texting someone else. I kept trying to convince myself I was overreacting, that there was a reasonable explanation I just hadn't heard yet. But every time I thought that, I remembered how easily she'd lied to my face. Eventually, I got up and went into the kitchen. I made coffee I barely drank and sat at the table scrolling through the screenshots again, checking details I hadn't noticed before. Wrist placement, body language, expressions. The man's hand on her back looked worse the longer I stared at it. Around 9, she came out of the bedroom, hair messy, wearing one of my old shirts. "Morning," she said, yawning. "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep," I replied. She poured herself coffee and leaned against the counter, completely relaxed. Watching her act normal made something tighten in my chest. I realized she had no idea how close everything was to falling apart. I decided not to ease into it. I turned my phone toward her and slid it across the table. "Can you explain this?" She looked down at the screen, and for a split second, just a split second, her face changed. Color drained slightly. Her eyes flicked away. Then she recovered. "Oh," she said lightly. That, I repeated. "You told me there were no plus ones." She took a sip of coffee, buying herself time. Those are probably spouses who also work at the company, she said. That's different. I zoomed in on one of the photos and pointed at a name badge clearly labeled +1. Her jaw tightened. Okay, she said, exhaling. Fine. Some executives were allowed to bring partners. That doesn't apply to my level. So why tell me there were none at all? I asked. She crossed her arms, defensive now. I didn't lie, she said. I just didn't want to explain the whole complicated policy. It didn't feel important. I let that sit for a moment before opening another photo, the one with the man in the suit. And who's this? I asked. The guy with his hand on your back. She glanced at it and scoffed. What guy? That's just Andrew. He's married. We were talking. Something about the way she said it, too quick, too dismissive, made my stomach turn. So you lied to me about the policy, I said slowly. And you're telling me that photo means nothing. She sighed like I was exhausting her. You're blowing this out of proportion, she said. I had a few drinks. People are touchy at those things. It's not a big deal. That was the moment I realized I wasn't going to get the truth from her willingly. I dropped it. Not because I believed her, but because I needed time to think. She went about her morning like everything was settled. Showered. Got dressed. Made plans for the afternoon. I watched her move around the apartment, wondering how long she'd been living like this. Wondering how much of my life with her had been real. When she left, I sat alone in silence. I didn't know what to do next. I felt stuck between confronting her again and pretending nothing had happened. My phone sat on the table in front of me, screen dark, like it was waiting. Around 11, it rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Something told me to. Hello. Hi. Is this my name? A woman asked. Yes. This is Rebecca calling from HR at Sarah Morrison's company. My heart dropped. We're reaching out regarding some insurance beneficiary paperwork, she continued. There's been a discrepancy we need to clarify. I don't work there, I said carefully. Yes, we're aware, she replied. That's why we're calling you. I swallowed. She listed you as her domestic partner, Rebecca said. But we have conflicting documentation. Conflicting how? I asked. There was a pause on the line. She also submitted paperwork 2 months ago listing another individual as her domestic partner. My grip tightened on the phone. Another individual? I repeated. Yes, Rebecca said. Andrew Chun. The name hit me like a punch. I don't know who that is, I said. He's her direct manager, Rebecca replied. He was promoted to vice president the same time Sarah was promoted to senior director. I felt dizzy. Rebecca continued, her voice calm and professional, like she wasn't casually dismantling my entire understanding of the last 2 years. She listed your address as her primary residence, Rebecca said. Claimed cohabitation. That's my address, I said. She doesn't live with me. There was a longer pause this time. That's concerning, Rebecca said. Are you aware that Andrew Chun was added to her health insurance plan last month? No, I said. I didn't even know he existed until yesterday. Rebecca exhaled quietly. There's more, she said. Sarah told colleagues that you two separated 3 months ago. I stared at the wall. We're still together, I said. At least, I thought we were. Rebecca hesitated. Andrew Chin's wife contacted us last week, she added. She noticed changes to her husband's insurance coverage. The room felt like it was tilting. Andrew was married. Sarah knew. By the time the call ended, I was sitting on the floor with my back against the couch, phone pressed to my ear, trying to understand how everything I thought I knew had been wrong. I hadn't just uncovered a lie. I'd uncovered a double life. And Sarah was about to walk back into it. I didn't call Sarah right away. After the HR call ended, I just sat there for a long time, staring at the wall like it might explain something to me if I waited long enough. My phone felt heavy in my hand. Every few seconds, my brain tried to reject what I'd just heard, like it was a bad dream I could wake up from if I moved. Domestic partner paperwork. 2 names. Insurance fraud. Her manager. Married. None of it lined up with the woman I thought I knew. I checked the time. Just past noon. I texted her once. We need to talk. HR from your company just called me. No response. I waited 10 minutes. Then 15. Then 30. I called her. Straight to voicemail. That's when the anger finally kicked in. Not explosive, not screaming, but cold and heavy. The kind that makes your hands shake while your face stays calm. I realized she already knew this was coming. HR didn't start with me. They started with her. She was avoiding me on purpose. An hour later, there was a knock at my door. I didn't need to look through the peephole. I knew it was her. When I opened the door, Sarah was standing there with her purse clutched in both hands, eyes red, face pale. She looked smaller somehow. Not confident. Not composed. Just scared. She stepped inside without a word. I closed the door behind her and didn't offer her a seat. "What did you do?" I asked. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then finally said, "It's not what you think." I laughed once. A short, humorless sound that surprised even me. "HR called me," I said. "Try again." Her shoulders slumped. "You told your company we were domestic partners," I continued. "You used my address. Then you listed another man as your domestic partner too." She started crying immediately. "You added your married manager to your insurance," I said. "Do you have any idea how insane that sounds when I say it out loud?" She dropped her purse on the floor and covered her face. "I was trying to help him," she sobbed. "You don't understand." "Help him how?" I asked. "By committing a federal crime?" She shook her head violently. "Andrew has a medical condition," she said. "His wife's insurance is awful. He was scared. So you've been sleeping with your married boss," I interrupted, "and committing fraud for him." That broke her. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor, crying hard now, the kind of crying where you can't breathe properly. I stood there watching, feeling strangely detached, like I was observing someone else's life. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," she said between sobs. "It started as work. Just late nights. Projects. Talking." "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. "How long?" I repeated. "For months," she whispered. "For months. While she was telling me she loved me. While she was planning weekends with me. While she was talking about our future. He told me he was basically separated." She said quickly, like that mattered. "He said his marriage was over. He said he was staying for appearances." I said nothing. "The promotion project brought us closer," she continued. "We were together all the time. He understood me. He saw how hard I worked." "And the party?" I asked. She looked away. "He told me to come alone," she admitted. He didn't want his wife to get suspicious. That was the moment something inside me snapped into clarity. "So you lied to me," I said slowly. "Because he asked you to." She nodded. "You told work we were broken up," I said. "So you could be with him during the week." She nodded again. "You've been living two lives," I said. "Me on weekends. Him at work." She didn't deny it. I felt tired in a way I'd never felt before. Not sad. Not angry. Just empty. "Get your things," I said. She looked up, panic flooding her face. "Please," she said. "We can fix this. I'll end it. I'll tell HR everything." "You already told them something," I said. "You told them you forged his signature." Her face froze. "What?" she whispered. "That's what HR told me," I said. "Andrew said he had no idea. He threw you under the bus." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "He's staying with his wife," I added. "He's trying to save his job and his marriage." She looked like she'd been physically struck. "No," she said. "He wouldn't do that." "He said." "He used you," I said. "And you destroyed everything for him." She started shaking. "I gave up everything for him," she said. "I risked everything. And he let you take the fall," I replied. That was when she finally understood. I watched it happen in real time. The realization that she wasn't special, that she wasn't chosen, that she was convenient. She reached for me. I stepped back. "Get your things," I said again. "And don't contact me." She begged. She cried. She promised. She said my name like it meant something. It didn't anymore. When she finally left, the apartment felt quiet in a way that felt clean, like something toxic had been removed. The first night after she left was the quietest night I'd experienced in years. Not peaceful, just quiet in a way that felt unnatural, like the silence you notice after a loud noise stops and your ears are still ringing. I sat on the couch long after the door closed behind her, staring at the spot where her purse had hit the floor earlier. It stayed there in my head, like a stain that wouldn't fade. I didn't cry. That surprised me. I thought I would break down the moment she was gone, but instead I felt hollow, like something heavy had been removed too quickly and my body hadn't caught up yet. I kept expecting my phone to buzz, to see her name pop up with another message, another apology, another attempt to rewrite reality. It didn't. The next few days blurred together. I went to work, answered emails, had conversations I barely remembered afterward. People asked how I was doing, and I said fine, without thinking, because anything else felt like too much effort. I didn't hear from Sarah, but I heard about her. It started with a mutual friend texting me, cautiously, like they were afraid to step on a landmine. "Hey, I don't want to pry, but are you okay?" That's when I knew the story was out. By the end of the week, everyone knew something had happened. Not all the details, but enough. Sarah had been suspended from work. Andrew's name was circulating in whispers. HR was involved. Lawyers were involved. The promotion that had started everything was already gone. A few days later, I got another call from HR, not asking questions this time, just informing me. Sarah had been terminated. Effective immediately. Violation of company policy. Falsification of documents. Insurance fraud. Andrew, on the other hand, was under review. That phrase stuck with me. Under review. It meant protected. It meant delayed. It meant politics. I found out through the same mutual friend that Andrew had gone home to his wife. Told her it was all a misunderstanding. That Sarah had forged documents without his knowledge. That he'd been manipulated. And somehow, she believed him enough to try counseling. Sarah didn't have that option. She texted me once, late at night, from a number I hadn't blocked yet. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it without replying. A week later, I heard she was meeting with a lawyer. That she might face criminal charges. That the company was cooperating fully with the insurance provider. That, making an example, was being discussed. She lost her job, her reputation, her future at that company. And the man she did it all for wouldn't even return her calls. That part didn't make me feel good. It made me feel relieved. Relieved that I found out when I did. Relieved that the truth came out before we moved in together, before finances got tangled, before marriage turned lies into legal obligations. I kept replaying moments from the last year, noticing things I'd brushed off before. Her phone always face down. Her sudden schedule changes. The way she sometimes felt distant for no obvious reason. It was all there. I just hadn't wanted to see it. About a month later, I ran into Jennifer, the woman who tagged me in the photo, at a coffee shop near my place. She recognized me immediately and looked uncomfortable, like she expected me to be angry. "I'm really sorry," she said. "I had no idea." I shook my head. "Don't be," I told her. "You saved me." She hesitated, then said quietly, "Sarah tried to come back. To the company. They wouldn't even meet with her." I wasn't surprised. "She's suing for wrongful termination," Jennifer added. "That won't end well," I said. Jennifer nodded. "Andrew got demoted. His wife found the messages." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "Good," I said. When I walked out of that coffee shop, I felt lighter than I had in months. Not happy, but free. Free from wondering. Free from lies I didn't know I was carrying. 3 months later, my life looked completely different. I started going to the gym more. Sleeping better. Laughing again. I met someone new there. Nothing dramatic, nothing rushed. Just honest. Simple. Real. Sometimes I think about Sarah. Not with anger. Not with regret. Just with distance. She made choices. So did I? The difference is, I got out. And every time I think about that night, that photo, that tag from a stranger, I realize something strange. Sometimes the worst moments aren't punishments. They're warnings. Life didn't snap back into place after everything ended. It didn't feel dramatic or cinematic. It just slowed down. For a while, my days felt empty in a way I wasn't used to. Not lonely exactly, just quieter. I stopped checking my phone as much. Stopped expecting messages that weren't coming. Stopped rehearsing conversations in my head that I no longer needed to have. That was when I realized how much of my energy had been going into maintaining something that wasn't real. I started noticing small things again. How calm my apartment felt. How I could leave my phone on the table without wondering who was texting who. How my weekends suddenly belonged to me. No explanations. No pretending. No second guessing. People asked if I was okay. I always said yes, because I was. Not immediately. Not all at once. But steadily. The strange part was that once the shock wore off, I didn't miss her the way I thought I would. I missed the idea of who I thought she was. The future I'd imagined. But the real version of her. The one who could lie so easily. Who could risk everything for someone who saw her as disposable. I didn't miss that at all. A few months later, I ran into someone new at my gym. We started talking casually. No pressure. No intensity. Just normal conversations about workouts, schedules, life. It felt refreshingly simple. What stood out to me wasn't chemistry or excitement. It was honesty. If she was busy, she said so. If she didn't know something, she admitted it. No stories. No gaps. No contradictions. And that's when it hit me. Trust isn't something you should have to work this hard to maintain. It's either there, or it's not. I also learned something else, something I wish I'd understood earlier. Big betrayals rarely start big. They start with small lies that seem harmless at the time. Little omissions, convenient explanations. Moments where your instincts whisper something's off, and you choose to ignore them because trust feels easier. I ignored mine. Not because I was weak, not because I was blind, but because I believed someone I loved wouldn't choose to hurt me. That belief doesn't make me stupid. It makes me human. What matters is what you do when the truth finally shows itself. I walked away. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't try to compete with someone who was willing to destroy his own life and still let her take the fall. I chose peace. And every day since then has confirmed that choice. If you're watching this and something feels off in your own relationship, pay attention to that feeling. Don't panic. Don't accuse. Just observe. Truth has a way of surfacing on its own. Sometimes through a conversation. Sometimes through a pattern. And sometimes through a single photo that was never meant for you to see. If this story resonated with you, or if you've ever had a lie unravel in a way you didn't expect, let me know in the comments. I read them all. And if you want more real stories like this, stories about trust, deception, and the moments that change everything, make sure you subscribe. We upload regularly, and every story has something worth paying attention to. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it also sets you free.